Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Definitely need the jacket first thing out the door this morning, and you'll need it this afternoon as it's the coldest day since January. I'll show you how long that kind of chill is going to last coming up.
And heads up, parents of Durham Public Schools, you'll have to find another way for your child to get to and from school once a week. How this change is helping the district fill a bus driver shortage and how long this could last.
And Coach Mac Brown's final home game ended in a brawl over the weekend. What sparked the fight between UNC and NC State players and how the university is addressing it today. Good morning and happy Monday to you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
And I'm Renee Chu. No fighting the cold. It is December, and we certainly have festively chilly temperatures out there. Let's get to meteorologist Chris Michaels in for Elizabeth. Look at that sunsplash view.
Yes, sunsplash, but it's deceptive, right? So far this morning, temperatures in the low to mid 30s, and you see the flag blowing in the breeze outside the legislative building. That little bit of a breeze makes all the difference. It makes it feel even colder at times as you head out the door this morning. It's also blowing in some dry air, something that you may have noticed over the past few days. You're maybe using the lotion, the lip balm a little bit more. Unfortunately, for some of us, this could lead to nosebleeds just with the drier air in place. And you may also notice you're shocking your coworkers as static electricity definitely builds up on these dry, cold days. And the cold is going to last from start to finish today. Whereas past several days, like yesterday, we hit the 50s. Today, we're going to be in the low to mid 40s, which is actually about 15 degrees below average for this time of year. Heading into the evening, temperatures are back in the 30s. Overnight lows, check it out. They'll drop to about 20 in Roxborough, 21 in Rocky Mount, 25 in Raleigh, 27 in Fayetteville. And along with that, we see the chance for some flurries. I'll show you where coming up. Brett?
Thanks, Chris. Let's take a look at traffic right now. It is 8:02 here on your Monday morning, and we do have a number of different things that are out there that are causing some pretty big slowdowns, especially on I-40 westbound near South Saunders Street. There's a crash right now that's blocked the two left lanes on I-40 westbound, and you can see all these cars that are backed up because of it. Those emergency vehicles off in the distance right there behind those trees. It's going to be at least another 35 minutes before this is cleared, so some pretty big backups to be aware of if you use 40 westbound to get to work. 23-minute delay right now that just keeps creeping up. We're going to continue to watch that and let you know when that starts to improve, but it's going to be at least another 30 minutes before they can get those cars out of there. Over on US 1 and US 401 coming in from Wake Forest and Morrisville respectively, 13 minutes on US 1, 8 minutes on 401. Some pretty big backups there if you're using that to get into Raleigh this morning. Over in Durham, the Durham Freeway also has some pretty big backups. 885 southbound, 10 minutes if you're trying to get down to the I-40, and then 5 minutes if you're heading northbound to get into Durham right now. We'll continue to keep an eye on it.
Thanks, Brett. Starting today, parents will have to find a new way to get their kids to and from school. Durham Public Schools is implementing a new rotating bus schedule, so parents will be responsible for getting their kids to school once a week. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from the North Durham bus lot. Laura, this is a plan to help ease the shortage of bus drivers.
It is. Good morning, Renee. And for the next 3 weeks, we will likely see more Durham buses parked here in this lot behind me. And that's because families are now in charge of bringing their students to school once a week. As you mentioned, we know that families today alone will have to cover more than 20 routes. The district has divided the rotational routes into 5 groups, A through E, to help address the bus driver shortage. Families will be responsible for transporting their students to and from school 1 day each week, with bus service provided 4 days a week. Superintendent Anthony Lewis says this approach will help in managing the shortage efficiently, ensuring current drivers can cover more routes equitably. Now, we spoke with parents when this change was first announced, concerned about having to juggle transportation for children attending 2 different schools, which means no bus for 2 days.
Maybe the only positive of this announcement that they had today was that at least we know where for most of this year, when these things come up, they're very last minute.
So this is a temporary plan for now that will last until December 20th that week. However, we know from Superintendent Anthony Lewis that it could extend into the new year. Laura Levine, WRAL News. We're live in Durham.
And we are working to learn more about this investigation in Wake County. This was the scene in the area of Crab Orchard Drive and Lake Dam Road in Wake County last night. Video from the WRAL breaking news tracker shows state troopers focusing on a white SUV. There is damage to the front bumper and the front window. As soon as we learn more, we'll update you.
One man is hurt after a shooting at this downtown Go Raleigh bus station yesterday. Raleigh police say he was shot in the leg and was taken to the hospital. The area is no stranger to crime. There were 286 crimes reported near the bus station in the first 7 months of this year. Now, police said back in August that violent crime downtown decreased 22% in the first half of the year compared to last year. They credited the boost in security patrols around Moore Square. In April, city leaders voted to renew the contract with special police for at least another 3 years.
Lawmakers will be back in session today at the legislative building where you are looking live this morning. A bill that would move $227 million into the state's Helene Relief Fund may once again be on the table. The bill would also strip power away from incoming Democrats, including the governor and the attorney general's offices. Governor Roy Cooper vetoed the bill before Thanksgiving. Republicans will have to be united in both the House and the Senate to override that veto this week. However, 3 Western North Carolina Republicans in the House voted against the bill the first time around.
North Carolina could get billions of dollars more in federal money for Helene relief in the coming weeks. That's if Congress takes up President Joe Biden's plan for $100 billion in disaster aid. North Carolina's U.S. Senators, Republicans Tom Tillis and Ted Budd, tell WRAL they want to see even more. They are also calling for reforms to the very way the government handles future disaster responses. Tillis said that while the strength with which Helene hit Western North Carolina was a shock, we need to prepare for more disasters like it.
We should be instructed by COVID to recognize this is a long-term recovery unlike we've ever seen. And we can either learn from it and start talking about creative ways now, or we can regret it later.
Governor Cooper estimated that Helene did about $53 billion worth of damage to Western North Carolina.
A woman charged with stabbing a man multiple times in the parking lot of a Morrisville Walmart is expected to appear in court today. Takir Norman is charged with assault with a deadly weapon after stabbing 43-year-old Fowd Eisenberry at least twice. This happened last Wednesday. Police say Norman and Eisenberry do not know each other, but they believe the dispute started over a parking spot. The last update from officials said that Eisenberry has critical injuries.
Today, the Wake County Board of Elections will hold a meeting that could shift the balance of power on the state Supreme Court. The race for a state Supreme Court seat between Republican Jefferson Griffin and Democrat Allison Riggs remains undecided nearly a month after the election, with just 700 votes separating them. Riggs is currently ahead. A recount is underway. Griffin is challenging around 60,000 ballots.
Griffin has multiple reasons why he thinks some of these ballots were improperly counted. A Wake County specific example is that ballots cast by people who died were counted.
The Wake County Board of Elections, which leans Democratic, will review the allegations today. Depending on results, the candidates may still request a second recount once the first is completed.
President-elect Donald Trump is facing criticism over his pick for FBI Director Kash Patel. The big question is whether the Senate will confirm him. Some Trump allies are supportive. Meanwhile, Patel is facing criticism for a lack of experience, as well as his controversial positions, including pledging to dismantle the agency. Trump appointed the current FBI Director, Chris Wray, whose term is not set to end until 2027. Wray will either resign or face being fired.
Happening today, the newest leaders in Cumberland County will be sworn in. Newly elected commissioners Kirk Deviere, Pavan Patel, and Henry Tyson will take the oath of office. After the swearing in, the new board will select its chair and vice chair. This is happening tonight at 7 at the Crown Ballroom.
Coming up, flags dominated college football's rivalry week, and not the ones thrown by officials, the brawls that broke out at Ohio State and UNC, and how the universities are addressing them.
Plus, 2 major airlines are facing a class action lawsuit. The claims from people who say the jets are causing excess pollution in their communities.
And speaking of jets, we're tracking the jet stream and how that's dipped, bringing in that punch of cold air. We'll show you how long this kind of cold is going to last before we see a little bit of a break coming up.
Welcome back on your Monday morning as you take a live look over Wilson and the whirligigs. You see some of the whirligigs going there. It is chilly out there. No, it's cold. It's not chilly, Chris. We're just going to say it's cold out there. You need the heavy jacket this morning.
Yeah, definitely. We're like playing the word pyramid game this morning. And yeah, it is. It's cold, jacket worthy. It's also very dry out there and a little bit of a breeze from time to time. I'm noticing the camera here in Zebulon occasionally shaking in the breeze, and that adds some extra chill to the air. So if you're getting maybe a slow start to the morning, later start, you're looking at temperatures mid to upper 30s for the next few hours, despite the fact that we've got plenty of sunshine out there. It's a northwest breeze. It's going to keep that cold air locked in from time to time today, making for the coldest afternoon we've seen since last January. South Hill 40, Fayetteville 46, Raleigh and Goldsboro right in the middle at 43 degrees. And again, plenty of sunshine throughout much of the day today. There's a weak disturbance that's going to be moving over the area, and it's enough lift, rising air in the atmosphere to generate some flurries. Now, this is not necessarily going to have any kind of impact, and it happens while most of us are asleep, but you see that brief period of maybe some flurries making it into areas mainly south of Wake County. By tomorrow morning, everybody is going to be feeling the chill, more so than this morning, with areas like Southern Pines and Durham at 23, Rocky Mount 21, Clinton at 25, first thing out the door tomorrow morning. And then we see even colder air coming in by Wednesday morning. So this is kind of that time of year where you have to start thinking about the pets, giving them a warm place to stay. If you have any plants outside, either bring them in or cover them up. And if you have exposed piping at your house, just make sure that the faucet is gently dripping. We've got the cold air, that's for sure. We know that for most of the week. But in terms of the storm track, that's suppressed very far to the south, more toward the Gulf Coast. So the two really aren't playing ball, which means, surprise, surprise, we're not going to go seeing any kind of widespread wintry precipitation. In the meantime, as we look toward Wednesday, we start out very cold with the high 51. Only the jackets for the WRAL tower lightings. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Wednesday. A little bit of relief from the harsh cold by Thursday as we see high temperatures in the upper 50s. But another front's going to move in, and similar to today, we're going to see temperatures start in the 20s. Afternoons peak in the 40s. That'll be Friday and Saturday before returning to the 50s by Sunday. To check your forecast, let's get a check of traffic now with Brett.
Thanks, Chris. Let's take a look at that right now. And we do have a couple of things that are out there here at 8:15 that are causing some pretty big backups if you're heading back to work here after the holiday. On I-40 westbound, a crash that did just clear. That's right there near South Saunders Street. Looks like both left lanes are open now, which is good news as traffic starts to flow freely on I-40 westbound as you approach South Saunders and Gorman Street. Still tracking about a 10-minute delay. That is significantly improved here within the last few moments, which is really good news. Coming in on US 1 southbound and US 401, 14-minute delay if you're coming in from Wake Forest, 7 minutes coming in from Rollsville. Still some pretty big backups here this morning. We're going to continue to watch that, but nothing causing those backups. That's just general traffic. And then the Durham Freeway, 4 minutes in the southbound direction, 3 minutes in the northbound direction. At this point, we'll continue to watch it.
Brett, thank you. Breaking news, at least 56 people are dead after a stampede after fights broke out during a soccer match in Guinea. That's according to government officials. They say the stampede started during a tournament between two teams. Local media reports chaos erupted after a penalty angered fans.
6 people are hurt, 3 of them critically after a house explosion in Missouri. It happened this weekend in Jefferson City. This is what was left of that home. Neighbors say it sounded like a bomb went off. The explosion set off a fire and sent debris flying into neighboring yards and into the street. Crews had to use an excavator to help remove the debris. Investigators are working to learn the cause of this explosion.
The husband of a missing hiker in Oregon has been arrested in connection with her murder. Authorities arrested 71-year-old Michael Fournier after they found his wife's body. Susan Lane Fournier was reported missing on November 22nd when she didn't show up for work. She had previously filed for divorce. Reports show she and her 2 large dogs went hiking in the Mount Hood National Forest. The medical examiner identified Lane Fournier and said they are investigating her death as a homicide.
Dozens of people were hospitalized during protests in the country of Georgia overnight. It was the 4th night of demonstrations as people expressed their opposition to the government's decision to suspend negotiations to join the EU. Protesters set bins on fire and shot fireworks at police. The government stopped the talks when the Georgian Dream Party won the election. The opposition says the election was rigged with the help of Russia.
A family is whole again in Raleigh after a civil war in Sudan threatened to keep them apart. Omer Abdulrahman is a runner. We've seen him crisscross the state in several marathons. Now he is reunited with his wife and daughter after the war in his home country of Sudan delayed their arrival to Raleigh. During this time, he traveled back and forth to his country and he documented his visits with his family. He got help from Congresswoman Deborah Ross, and Abdulrahman eventually got word that his family's visas were granted and the family would be together again.
How excited are you?
I'm super pure excited. I don't have to be thinking anymore. I'm just straight focusing, work and any other stuff. So big worries is over now.
An estimated 11 million people have been forced to leave their homes because of the conflict. He says he and his family celebrated their first Thanksgiving here in the U.S. with their friends.
Another 5 on your side solve is in the books. A Navy vet says that he was turned away from a Raleigh restaurant after trying to enter with his service dog. When a fellow restaurant patron saw what was going on, he told the veteran to call Keeley.
He was the one that told me about WRAL, 5 on your side. I'm like, oh, okay. He says, yeah, look it up.
Tonight, only on WRAL at 6, the swift action the restaurant took after 5 on your side got involved, and a look at the federal law protecting service dogs and their owners.
If you haven't started shopping for Christmas presents, today is the day. Millions of people are going online for one of the biggest shopping days of the year, Cyber Monday. You can check out the deals on Amazon, Walmart, and most other stores. Retailers are offering massive price cuts on a wide range of items, oftentimes with free shipping. This year, more than 183 million people plan to shop in stores and online between Thanksgiving Day through today.
We have a warning about potential scams you may face tomorrow on Giving Tuesday. The Federal Trade Commission reported imposter scams like fake charities. They resulted in nearly $2.7 billion in losses last year. So be on the lookout for fake donation websites and make sure you can verify the charity is real before donating. Know that if you don't need to give over the phone, and anyone who pressures you may not be someone that you should give money to. Remember, it is also okay to slow down, ask questions, and do your own research.
Delta and Alaskan Airlines are now facing a class action lawsuit over air pollution near Seattle's International Airport. According to the lawsuit, Seattle residents claim that jet pollution from both airlines damages physical health and properties. They're also calling for a contamination zone within 5 miles of the airport. A federal judge allowed the lawsuit to move forward after denying the airline's request to throw out the claims. Delta and Alaskan are the only airlines mentioned because they operate 80% of the airport's flights.
UNC has named Freddie Kitchens its interim head coach for an upcoming bowl game as it works to find a replacement for Mack Brown. Kitchens has served as North Carolina's run game coordinator and tight end coach for the last 2 years. He was head coach of the Cleveland Browns in 2019. He was also an assistant coach with Dallas, Arizona, and the New York Giants. Kitchens was a senior analyst with South Carolina in 2022 before joining the UNC staff last year.
The athletic directors for both UNC and NC State released a statement about the brawl that UNC football coach at UNC football coach Mack Brown's final home game. The joint statement from Bubba Cunningham and Boo Corrigan reads, "We are disappointed by the conduct of some members of our football programs at the conclusion of our game on Saturday at Kenan Stadium. While the game was emotional and the Carolina-NC State rivalry is intense, we must always display good sportsmanship and represent our universities and the Atlantic Coast Conference with respect. We will address this incident with our respective teams."
And UNC and NC State were not the only teams who got physical after games on Saturday. The Big Ten Conference has fined Michigan and Ohio State $100,000 each for their post-game brawl on Saturday. According to the Big Ten, no other fines or suspensions will be handed out after the Wolverines upset the second-ranked Buckeyes. A Michigan player tried to plant a flag on Ohio State's field. That led to a fight between players from both teams. Police used pepper spray to break it up. There were incidents at the Arizona State, and Florida State games as well.
Cold weather shelters are opening today to give people somewhere warm to go. The Durham Rescue Mission is sending teams into the community to make sure people who are homeless know about the shelters. They are also working to get people hot meals. White flag shelters are also open today in Wake and Cumberland counties.
And cold weather is here, and for many, staying warm is not guaranteed. So help make the holidays warmer and brighter for our neighbors in need during WRAL's Coats for the Children. You can help right now. You can scan the QR code on your screen to give any amount, and you can help WRAL and the Salvation Army make a positive difference for a local child in need. Giving a little can help a lot. Together, we can make the holiday season warmer and happier for local children in need. Well, coming up, a woman who flew to Paris without a ticket is back in French custody. Why officials say she was thrown off her return flight to the U.S.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning. Happy Monday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. A chilly start to our Monday morning. Meteorologist Chris Michaels in this morning with a beautiful look over North Hills.
Yeah, looks can be deceiving. Plenty of sunshine out there right now. Temperatures holding steady in the 30s with highs today only making it into the 40s. So this is actually going to make for one of the coldest afternoons we've seen since January. Highs today in the low to mid 40s. By 6 p.m. afterward, you're looking at temperatures returning to the 30s with overnight lows in the 20s. This is as we're tracking some air that quite literally is coming in from Canada. So some harsh cold, several freezing mornings this week. Over on Fox 50, I'll show you where we could see some snow flurries as well. That's coming up.
Let's take a look at traffic right now. We do have a couple of crashes to tell you about here as we approach 8:30 this morning. We do have a couple of them that are not causing any major delays. One's on Creedmoor Road near Millbrook Road. Not seeing any delays on the sensors on that one. But then on the southern side of Raleigh or near Holly Springs, Highway 42 near Old Stage Road. No delays on those either, Michelle.
All right, thanks, Brad. Starting today, Durham Public Schools families will have to get their children to school themselves 1 day a week. The district is implementing rotational bus schedules. That means each route will only run for 4 days instead of 5. The district says it's a temporary fix, but it could extend into the new year. Coming up next on Fox 50, the meeting happening today that could shift the balance of power in the state Supreme Court. And up next on Today, the great Buffalo Wings debate sizzles in Bill's Mafia County.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Starting out our Monday cold, you'll need the jackets today, but even colder air is on the way heading into the first part of the week. I'll show you when and where we see widespread 20s in the forecast.
And starting today, buses with Durham Public Schools will operate on a new schedule. How the change could affect your family as the district works to address a bus driver shortage.
Plus, millions of people are headed home today as the Thanksgiving travel period comes to an end. We'll tell you how snow in the Northeast could affect your plans. Some places, some states getting like 30 inches of snow. That's just crazy. Meanwhile, we're just in our snow drought, and who knows if we'll see snow. It's cold enough to get snow. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Am I the only crazy that misses the snow? I miss the snow.
No,
I'm from New
I
York,
think we all miss it. You know, it's just been so long since we've seen it here.
Yeah, I know. So it was pretty to see those shots. But look at this shot. I mean, Chris, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm trying to make up for it at least with some pretty pictures here. But yeah, I mean, there's some places up there that gotten 3 to 5 feet. So yeah, a lot of snow going up in lake effect country. Here's not a live look, but a picture from Alexandria out of Tarboro. Great sundog there. Sometimes you'll see that with those high level clouds. Right now, it is a severe clear sky over Apex. Wind is fairly calm, but it's cold enough. Temperature of about 34 degrees. Thing about today's temperatures is that it's a very slow climb. Despite sunshine, we've got this northwest breeze that's going to continue to keep the cold air locked in. Meteorologist Kat Campbell first told you guys yesterday evening about today being the coldest day since January 21st. The high temperature only 43 degrees as we go throughout the day today. Plenty of sunshine, but you do have a disturbance that's coming in out of the west. That's going to generate enough energy in the atmosphere to where we could see just a few flurries. The thing is, that's going to be while most of us are asleep. Nonetheless, I'll show you the specific counties that see that. And when we see some folks waking up to temperatures in the upper teens, that's coming up. Brett.
Thanks, Chris. Let's take a look at traffic right now here at 8:32 on your Monday morning. I'm Brett Neeson for Ken Smith. And we're seeing some improvements on our map here. 12-minute delay coming in on US 1 southbound. It's pretty steady at that point right now. That's just typical traffic that we see on Capitol Boulevard as you head in to Raleigh. But around the rest of the Raleigh right now, we're looking pretty good. A lot of reds and yellows on the Beltline itself, but no crashes or any incidents causing any of those delays. Those are some delays that we normally see this time of morning. So give yourself that typical amount of time that you need to get to work here as we head back to work after the holiday. Over in Durham, all of our major routes delay free right now, maybe about a 5-minute delay if you're using 98, and the Durham Freeway looking good in both directions at this point, which is good news. Here's I-40 at Trailwood Drive. This is 40 westbound. That's that traffic that we normally see past Trailwood and Avon Ferry Road. Nothing out of the ordinary at this point. We'll keep an eye on it.
All right, thanks, Brett. Starting today, parents of students in Durham Public Schools will have to get their children to school themselves 1 day a week. As WRAL's Laura Levine explains, the district is trying out a rotating bus schedule because of a shortage of bus drivers.
For the next 3 weeks, you'll likely see more buses parked in bus lots like this one here behind me in North Durham. Today alone, families will have to provide their own transportation for more than 20 routes for those students. Now, the district has divided the rotational routes into 5 groups, A through E, to help address a bus driver shortage. Families will be responsible for transporting their students to and from school 1 day each week, with bus service provided 4 days per week. Superintendent Anthony Lewis says this approach will help in managing the shortage efficiently, ensuring current drivers can cover more routes equitably.
It had to average maybe 12 to 15 stops where there were no students, and that was just that one route. And so when we think about that, and bus drivers still have to stop at that route because we never know.
And so this schedule is set for the next 3 weeks. However, Superintendent Lewis did tell WRAL that it could extend into the new year. We'll keep you updated and monitor the situation on how things are going. The goal is to provide a permanent solution by 2025. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Durham.
We are working to learn more about this investigation in Wake County. This was a scene in the area of Crab Orchard Drive and Lake Dam Road in Wake County last night. Video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows state troopers focusing on this white SUV. You can see there's damage to the front bumper and front window. As soon as we learn more, we will update you.
One person is hurt after a shooting at the downtown Go Raleigh bus station yesterday evening. The area is no stranger to crime scene tape and police lights. There were 286 crimes reported near the bus station in the first 7 months of this year. And despite this latest shooting, police said in August that violent crime downtown decreased 22% in the first half of the year compared to the previous one. They credited the boost in security patrols around Moore Square. And although some who walk near the area say they are still taking precautions.
I carry a pepper spray with me. Sometimes I carry a knife. I've never actually been attacked, but it's scary sometimes walking home.
Raleigh police say the man yesterday was shot in the leg and was taken to the hospital. In April, city leaders voted to renew the contract with special police for at least another 3 years.
Lawmakers will be back in session today at the Legislative Building where you're looking live right now. A bill that would move $227 million into the state's Helene Relief Fund may once again be on the table. The bill would also strip power away from incoming Democrats, including the governor and attorney general's offices. Governor Roy Cooper vetoed the bill before Thanksgiving. Republicans will have to be united in the House and the Senate to override that veto. However, 3 Western North Carolina Republicans in the House voted against the bill the first time around.
New this morning, President-elect Donald Trump is reacting to President Biden's decision to pardon his son Hunter on gun and tax charges. In a post on the social media app Truth Social just after 9 o'clock last night, Trump called the president's decision a miscarriage of justice. He pointed to people imprisoned for the January 6th riots on the Capitol in his post. Biden's decision to pardon his son comes despite his previous promises that he would not do so. The move also comes weeks before Hunter Biden was set to be sentenced. Hunter Biden said that he will never take the clemency for granted.
Today, the Wake County Board of Elections will hold a meeting that could change the balance of power on the state Supreme Court. The race for a state Supreme Court seat between Republican Jefferson Griffin and Democrat Allison Riggs remains undecided nearly a month after the election. Only 700 votes are separating them. Riggs is currently ahead. A recount is underway. Griffin is challenging around 60,000 ballots. The Wake County Board of Elections, which leans Democratic, will review the allegations today. Depending on the results, the candidates may still request a second recount once the first is completed.
Raleigh's next mayor will take the oath of office today. Mayor-elect Janet Cowell will succeed Mayor Marianne Baldwin. Cowell's swearing-in ceremony is happening at Maymandy Concert Hall tonight at 5 o'clock. The former state treasurer defeated 4 other candidates to become Raleigh's 63rd mayor.
We are learning more about the 13-year-old girl hit and killed by a recycling truck in Cary on Friday. Wake County Public Schools identified her as Shi Hua. She went by Chloe. This picture of her was shared on the Davis Drive Middle School art teacher's Instagram page. She was an 8th grader at the school, and just last month, Hua won 2nd place in the Red Ribbon Poster Contest and was recognized as the 8th grader of the month. Police say she was trying to cross at the intersection of High House Road and Cornerstone Drive on Friday. They say Adrian Holt failed to stop. He faces charges including misdemeanor death by motor vehicle, failure to yield and reduce speed, and carrying a concealed weapon.
Today is the final day of busy Thanksgiving travel, and this season was record-breaking. The Federal Aviation Administration says 232,000 flights took off from November 24th through November 28th. More than 12 million people passed through TSA checkpoints, and that's up more than 400,000 from last year. The agency also reports low delay and cancellation rates as well.
Millions of people in parts of New York State, Pennsylvania, and Ohio are under warnings for lake-effect snow. Officials say the warning has been extended until tomorrow morning. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has called in the state's National Guard to help in Erie County, which has recorded 30 inches of snow, and it is making the roads very tough to navigate. Some say it's the worst they've ever experienced.
I would say this one has been the worst one that I've dealt with for as long as I can remember.
Experts warn an additional 1 to 2 feet of snow could fall in parts of Pennsylvania, northern Ohio, and western New York today.
And talk about snow. It was a snowy night on Sunday Night Football as the Buffalo Bills hosted the San Francisco 49ers. The Bills ran away from the 49ers in the winter weather in western New York. They jumped out to a 21-3 lead at halftime, and the play of the game came in the third quarter. Josh Allen completed a short pass to Amari Cooper. As Cooper was being tackled, he flipped the ball back to Allen, who ran it in for a touchdown. Allen was credited with throwing a touchdown pass to himself. The Bills clinched the AFC East title with a 35-10 win. And Week 13 of the NFL season wraps up tonight. The Cleveland Browns will be in Denver to play the Broncos. Kickoff is at 8:15 on ESPN.
A family in Colorado has a lot to be grateful for this holiday season.
I mean, it's the whole foundation of the house, so it's going to be pretty difficult to fix. And especially before the holidays, so it's pretty difficult.
How a last-minute decision saved them from being seriously hurt after a car slammed into their home.
Plus, Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence is recovering after taking a brutal hit. How he says he's doing after suffering a concussion during yesterday's game.
Welcome back. It is 8:44 as we take a live look at North Hills as people start getting their holiday shopping going. This will be another week of busy shopping. Let's get to meteorologist Chris Michaels in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. At least there's lots of sunshine to go with it.
Exactly, right? So if it's going to be this cold, at least we have some sunshine to help bail things out a little bit. Temperatures in the mid-30s as we take a look over southeastern Wake County from the tall tower camera, and you see a whole lot of blue sky out there. Despite that, though, right, like looks can kind of be deceiving. We're looking at high temperatures today, only in the low to mid 40s, making for the coldest afternoon since January. So hour by hour, the exercise forecast really doesn't look like we're going to be breaking much of a sweat. In the meantime, overnight, there's actually the potential for a few flurries. Now, you're going to school tomorrow, okay? That's kind of the downside to it. But yeah, in parts of Chatham, Lee, Moore, Hoke, Harnett, and Cumberland counties, could actually see some flurries between about 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., all of us getting the cold. First thing tomorrow morning, 21 to 26 degrees. First thing Wednesday morning, 19 to 23 degrees. So going to be exceptionally cold out there the next couple of mornings. A little bit of relief on Wednesday, but still going to need the jackets for our tower lighting, 7 p.m. Temperatures around 40 in Durham, in Raleigh, and in Rocky Mount. So heading into Thursdays when we really feel some relief, that's when temperatures will be in the upper 50s for highs. But then just like clockwork, every few days we get these blasts of even colder air coming in out of the Arctic. And that's something I expect for us Friday and Saturday. Despite that, this is really a cold and dry air mass. Most of the moisture, the storm track, staying right along the Gulf Coast. So because the two are disconnected from one another, our chance for widespread snow, go figure, is going to be very low over the next 7 days. If you want to see snow, book a flight up north. Check it out. They've seen nearly 5 feet in places like Copenhagen, New York. Orchard Park, where the Buffalo Bills play, they've seen more than 2 feet of snow. Meanwhile, 15 miles away in downtown Buffalo, they haven't seen anything. It goes to show just how intense those lake effect snow bands can be. Nothing like that here at home. But it will be cold enough. Temperatures low to mid 40s for highs through Tuesday, 20s for lows Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, and then some nice improvement by Thursday, 58 the high. It's short-lived because then we're back down in the freezer first thing Friday and Saturday mornings with lows in the 20s.
Chris, thank you. This week, we're expecting the final hearing of the investigation into the assassination attempts on President-elect Donald Trump. A spokesperson told NBC News that the second and last public hearing will be held Thursday. It marks the end of several months of work as the session of Congress nears its end. The spokesperson says Acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe will be the only witness. After the hearing, the bipartisan group of lawmakers will finalize their report and move to make it public. Lawmakers have done official visits to the locations of both assassination attempts.
Today, a New York jury will hear closing arguments in the trial of a Camp Lejeune Marine veteran charged with killing a man on a subway train. Daniel Penny is charged with killing Jordan Neely last year. He held the homeless man in a chokehold in May of 2023 for 6 minutes. Prosecutors say that he violated law and human decency. His defense says Penny did not mean to hurt Neely. Rather, he was just trying to hold him down until police arrived. Penny is charged with manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide.
The stowaway who boarded a flight in New York without a ticket and made it to Paris was removed from her return flight to the U.S. after causing a disturbance. A source tells NBC that a Russian woman boarded a flight in New York last week without a boarding pass and made it all the way to Paris. Law enforcement removed her from the flight when it landed in Paris. She was refused entry to the country because she did not have a valid travel document. Then she was removed from the return flight to the U.S. She is now in French custody.
An elderly man has died 2 weeks after he was badly hurt in a home explosion near Charlotte. A Union County spokesperson confirmed yesterday that 82-year-old Wesley Decker died Friday. He and his wife were both badly burned in the explosion at their home November 17th. His wife has since been released from the hospital. Investigators believe the explosion was sparked by fuel in their garage.
A family in Colorado has a lot to be thankful for after a driver crashed into their home. Take a look at this. You can see the moment a pickup truck skips over a sidewalk and clips the corner of one home before slamming into another at a high rate of speed. The driver then ran away from the scene. One of the homeowners, Brian Gordia, had just left to get dinner with his girlfriend minutes before this happened. Gordia says they're thankful they were not there when it happened.
Oh, I'm just thankful that, I made it out alive. Obviously, we don't wish bad on the person who did it because, everyone has their own intentions. But, if they are caught, then I just hope something can be done about the situation.
Guardia is staying with family until insurance assesses the damage. Police are still searching for the driver.
Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence says he's recovering at home after a scary injury on the field. Lawrence posted to X last night saying he thanks everyone for their prayers. He said he was home and feeling better. Lawrence took a hit to the head during yesterday's game against the Houston Texans. Players from both teams brawled on the field after that hit. The player who hit him, Azir Aisher, was ejected from that game.
The Carolina Panthers played a close game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Bank of America Stadium. Bryce Young hit Adam Thielen for a 25-yard touchdown with 30 seconds left to put Carolina ahead. But the Buccaneers were able to tie it on a last-second field goal to send it to overtime. The Panthers were driving for a winning score, but Chuba Hubbard fumbled, and the Buccaneers were able to go the other way and set up a game-winning field goal. Tampa Bay beats Carolina 26-23.
Well, snow was not a deterrent for die-hard Buffalo Bills tailgaters before last night's game against the San Francisco 49ers. Fans set up to tailgate 9 hours before kickoff. That's dedication. A lake effect snow warning and 1.5 feet of snow was not enough to keep them inside. The area received a reported 18.5 inches of snow by Sunday morning.
There is a new exhibit honoring the trailblazing Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. The Museum of the City of New York revealed the exhibit over the weekend on what would have been her 100th birthday. The exhibit has a combination of historic artifacts, including campaign posters and artwork, even a voting booth from 1972. Chisholm was the first black woman elected to Congress in 1968. She was also the first woman to seek a major party nomination for president.
Comedians Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence are about to be family. Murphy's son Eric and Lawrence's daughter Jasmine. They announced their engagement on Instagram over the weekend. The pair got engaged in a decorated room with candles and rose bouquets. Their dads are longtime friends and have completed 2 films together. 1992's Boomerang and 1999's Life. Murphy says that he's planning to do another film with Lawrence in the future.
A Disney sequel makes record waves at the movie box office. Moana 2 set a record for a 5-day Thanksgiving period, opening with $221 million in ticket sales. Wicked lost the top spot, but did not slow down, taking in $117.5 million. It is now the top Broadway musical adaptation of all time in the U.S. at $262 million and counting.
2 brilliant movies. Well, a sequel to a popular cult classic could be on the way, and a new docuseries looks at the life of a Swedish band. Here's David Daniel.
All we really need is maybe some better jobs and boyfriends, right? Yeah.
A possible sequel to Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. Mira Sorvino tells People magazine a follow-up to the 1997 cult classic is, quote, so close to being greenlit. She says she and Lisa Kudrow have signed on as stars and executive producers, and a director has been hired.
Who knows how much time one has when they look like this in the mirror.
Sean Penn honored in Morocco. The actor and director accepted a career award at the Marrakesh Film Festival, which is playing a selection of his films. Penn encouraged the audience to be as politically incorrect as their heart desires and to engage in diversity and keep telling those stories.
They are shopping a demo and then they sell 25 million records. And it happened over a very, very short amount of time.
Ace of Base, All That She Wants looks at the Swedish quartet's rise and fall, from worldwide stardom to internal friction and even death threats. The docuseries features home movie footage and diaries from the band members. It premieres Thursday on Viaplay. Seeing the Sign in Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And before we go to break, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. We'll get another check on weather and traffic coming up next.